Good day and welcome to the Auxillary Services Back to School video series. My name is Scott Denton and I'll be your host. Our goal is to provide information that will ensure a smooth start to our school year for the 2017-18 year. Thank you so much for joining us. There's much to discuss, so let's get started. This segment of our Back to School video will focus on information technology services. And with me today is Elaine Batten, our Director of Information Technology. Good morning, Elaine.
Morning.
Glad you're here with us. So let's start off by talking about how we finished this year. I know testing is always a big issue in the district, and how IT supports testing is also very big because much of our testing now has gone online. Talk about the success we had this year with online testing, how our group is set up to support online testing, and what we're seeing for the coming year in online testing.
So we feel like we finished strong on online testing this year. When I always tell our team, online testing and our support of that is the most important thing we do for the district and IT all year long, because it's all about the students and their progress and making sure that they have everything they need to test from a technology perspective. So we have technicians that are on the field, in the schools, making sure the devices, the student devices are ready, supporting that testing coordinator and the tech champion in the school. We also are watching and planning our network wireless capacity at those times to make sure that the rooms that are being identified for testing have adequate capacity and making any mitigations that we need, and then on watching the bandwidth during testing. So we feel like we really finished strong. We didn't have any issues this year. Very proud of our team. There was one day when performance was bad, but it was bad across the state, and I think NCDPI took responsibility for that at the end of the day.
Outstanding. So in supporting testing and any instructional delivery, we've got the infrastructure behind that. And I know we have a very large E-rate program, E-rate being the funding mechanism that allows us to build our infrastructure throughout our schools. Talk about the E-rate projects that have been accomplished, where we are as a district and our infrastructure, and what's coming up for the E-rate program this year.
So E-rate allows us under their Category 2 funding to really take care of the infrastructure in the schools. So over the past 2 years, when we just finished a cabling project that was funded through the E-rate discount for all the schools. And now we're entering in, putting equipment, buying and installing equipment into our schools. We have one high school or DSA, which is already done, but the rest of the schools are waiting for that equipment to come in. And so we were just approved 2 weeks ago for that funding, so we've already got our purchase orders out there, and they'll be shipping hopefully in the next few weeks. And so we are putting together our project plan on how we're going to deploy that. It'll take about 15 months to deploy that equipment, and that is all about increasing the wireless capacity in the schools.
And our viewers may enjoy knowing that the significance of E-rate is it allows the Durham Public Schools to only pay about 20% or so of the cost associated with building the infrastructure.
Correct.
Which is a major benefit for the school district. When somebody else is picking up 80% of the tab, that's a significant investment in our overall ability to deliver wireless services across the district.
Absolutely.
So the other part of that is, of course, the devices. And we began last year distributing devices through a different type of mechanism. And talk about how we did that, what that mechanism looks like, will there be any changes in it this year, and what schools could expect this year from receiving the funding for their devices at the school level.
So we get excited about the teaching and learning refresh that we get each year. We're very thankful for that funding, and it all funnels through us to the schools. We anticipate taking the same approach that we took last year, which was to allocate the funding to the schools by ADM and giving a menu of supported devices that are part of our standard infrastructure and technology, so that principals can decide with their tech champions what's the best decision on how to use that allocation for the schools. So we'll put together a package and send it out in the beginning of July that says, here's your allocation, and here's the supported products. Tell us what you want us to buy on your behalf. And we anticipate doing that very quickly in July. We would love to have everything in by the start of school, but it's probably going to be the first 3 or 4 months of the fiscal year, getting the orders in, getting things deployed. But it'll be much more aggressive schedule than last year.
So we are utilizing Chromebooks much more in the district.
Yes, Chromebooks is our student standard device. There are some, especially as you get into the high schools, where Chromebooks, don't really match the curriculum, such in business classes, where you have to do a lot of word processing or Office products. But that's very small. So we do keep a little bit of our standard, having a standard student device, but most of our devices are Chromebooks.
And Chromebooks allow us immediate startup. We found a lot of success, not only in Durham Public Schools, but many school districts really like the Chromebooks because of what they offer, the speed of which you can start them up, and you don't need to go through them in the summertime and do a lot of maintenance on those things. Ours cost a little more than if you go to Best Buy to buy a Chromebook. Talk about why that is.
Well, we have some white glove service done to it, which is about $25 of the cost in order to have it asset tagged and ready to go when it gets here. So it speeds up our deployment.
So it's out of the box and ready to turn on when it comes to us. We don't have to do anything with those.
Correct,
Whereas
other
if
than
we
put it
didn't-
on our domain.
If we didn't provide the white glove service, we'd have to do work when it got here, and the numbers of machines we buy, it would take a large commitment on behalf of staff to go through and prepare those machines. But the white glove service allows us to roll them out immediately.
Correct. And the other thing about the additional cost is when we're very picky about the models that we do. Every year we look at all the models that's on state contract, and we do pick the ruggedest. So, we know that our students might not necessarily handle it with tender loving care, so we make sure that we have a device that's rugged, and that if it falls, it's not going to break on the first fall, and that it will last 4 years. A Chromebook, the life cycle we anticipate is 4 years.
And we do buy a 4-year warranty
Correct.
on those machines as well, so that if there are problems with those machines, they have on-site warranty service.
Correct.
That's significant, because having a machine you can count on to work, and when it doesn't work, having a vendor come out and repair that, there is a cost to that, and that's not what you get when you buy something from Best Buy. And you can obviously upgrade to their Geek Squad service, or whatever it's referred to as, but that's an additional cost.
Correct.
So we're already building that cost into what we buy for the school district in the way we think is best to make sure we have a device that's functional for the classroom.
Correct, and we work with our manufacturers that we choose to get the best price. We've actually gotten very good prices from even lower than the state contract this year from our manufacturer.
So as a principal, I don't like what the menu options are. What are my choices if I don't like the menu options?
So we only provide our standard, and so we really require principals to buy off of that standard, because it's not just about the purchase, it's about the ongoing support, the sustainability, and the operational ability of our network to handle that device.
The
So,
more different kinds of devices we would allow on our network and allow in our district, the more support that requires, the more expertise you need in the IT department to troubleshoot what goes wrong with it. That's why we have a standard, because it makes it easier for the IT staff to provide that support. We're not looking to make our job easy, but we are looking for the devices to be effective. And one way they're effective is that we don't have to provide training on 1,000 different devices to try to keep up with different things that have been purchased.
correct, because our staffing has gone down on our technician side every year, and this year we've lost another technician. So we have to take those kinds of steps and measures to maximize our ability to support the schools, and by having standards that allows us to maximize that.
Absolutely. Anything else about, okay, so schools will get a spreadsheet from us, and that spreadsheet will be our recommendation to them on what they spend their dollars, allocated dollars on. Notice we won't give them the money, they won't have it in a budget code,
Correct.
but it's in the IT budget codes, but the spreadsheet that comes to them will be their IT recommendation on what they purchase based on our review of their current inventory at their school.
Correct. So because we've not gotten the full funding that we need for technology refresh every year, because we need the $3.1 million, and until we get to that place, we'll always have to figure out what our priorities are. So the real decision for the principal and the tech champion is going to be faculty computing versus student computing, is where is your greatest need? Or are you going to balance those? Are you going to you've got faculty that really are at the end of their life cycle of their devices, or do you have some students that, you just struggled through online testing this year and you need more devices? So that's really the question. We do take care of the BrightLink, although, our BrightLinks are going to begin to age out very quickly. And so that's why we're working through the advisory budget committee to get additional funding for that refresh. But IT will maintain some bulb contingencies as well as a contract to break fix our BrightLinks. So really the decision's going to come down for the principal on whether to spend the money on student devices or on faculty devices.
So I noticed you indicated that 3.1 million is needed to fund our district. We only get roughly $900,000 to fund all the replacement throughout the district. So we are short, and we're going to continue to be short. For those folks that have joined Durham Public Schools in the past couple, 3 years, we did have a big initiative about 5 years ago that allows us to spend $9 million on technology, and we had a large influx of devices that came into the district. Those devices now are roughly 5 years old, and they are aging out. And short of another fairly large shot in the arm of funding, we're going to be trying to very strategically work through how we allocate funding so that we can keep machines going. And that part of that strategy has been Chromebooks because they are a lower cost device.
Correct.
So we are actively working to try to provide the very best technology based on the limited funding we have, and that's basically why we went to an ADM type formula, so that every school could get at least something every year to help address the needs that they have in the school.
Correct.
Let's transition to Active Directory and talk about that project and the significance of that project. Active Directory basically controls the access of any person to any piece of software we have in the district.
Right.
When you sign onto a computer and it asks for your credentials, Active Directory behind the scenes is managing what you're allowed to get to, how you actually get online. Talk about that project and the significance of the upgraded Active Directory for our folks.
So our Active Directory manages our directory services, so it knows who, from a people perspective, who's getting on our network and what permissions and access that they have. It also directs our computers, and it knows what school a computer belongs to. So it all works together along with our applications and what applications are accessed. So it really is that traffic cop in the middle of all of the things on our network. We have upgraded within the past year and a half to a supported version of Active Directory, but now it's time to get rid of all of our custom programming that we had done over the years to automate our account creation and our home drive access. So this summer we'll be migrating to an out-of-the-box Microsoft product called Identity Management. It's MIM for short. And so what that will do, it'll manage our GPOs and handle the account creation and account changes and actually enhance our security. We will be implementing over a weekend. That weekend specifically is not identified yet. So we will have an outage over from a Friday night to a Sunday at some point in the summer. But the advantages on the other side of that will be tighter security and less custom programming on our accounts, which means less user error on the other side.
I think it's important for our audience to understand that we have gone, IT in the past 5 years has gone away from a lot of customization. At one time, the IT department was structured to provide a customized solution for almost everything we had. And what it did was it got us into a real hole of having to constantly maintain applications inside Durham Public Schools, which there are oftentimes applications that outside vendors offer that are cheaper to maintain, just as effective as a customized solution. So we've been moving away from customized solutions for some time now. And so you mentioned the out-of-box solution for Active Directory. That's an important thing because we continue to move away from customized applications and don't have the staff really to be able to customize new applications at this point.
Correct. It allows us to maximize the resources we do have and still meet the business requirements of the district.
So let's talk about another issue which we just sent a memo out to our principals about, and that's the identification of our technology champions.
Yes.
Every school has a technology champion, and we're encouraging and need for our schools to identify who those people are. Talk about the role of the technology champion and the significance of having that role in our district.
So the role of the technology champion is the most important thing a principal can do for IT and to help set their school up for technology in their schools, because that's our contact. If the principal selects a really good tech champion who understands technology, that has the availability to work with their teachers in the school, that can come to our meetings and help us to interpret the issues they're having in their school so that we can be very responsive to those. So it's just a critical piece of our support structure is that tech champion in the school. So we're sending out something, it'll be in around the early July principal newsletter, the form and the link to identify who that tech champion is for your school. And that tech champion will also help us in the online testing process as we go either into the fall with high schools or into the spring where they're actually helping us with the online testing support.
So as part of our support model, we have the tech champions, and we'll identify who they are. We also have our IT technician assignments at schools. Any changes this year for the IT technician assignments?
Yeah, we make changes each year based on, the staff skills, the match to the schools, as well as any changing technology in the schools. And Mr. Paul Majumbi, who's our school technology support manager, will be sending those out imminently for what the next school year, which tech is assigned to which schools.
Outstanding. We have a great team of techs, by the way.
We have an
And
awesome
they do a great job out in the schools, and we have cut that staff back, as you mentioned earlier, over the years, but they continue to do a very fabulous job, and I really appreciate what they do on a daily basis to keep our schools going, from a technology perspective, of course. Anything else that you want to share with our group about what's coming up for our school year?
So every year when a principal starts the new year and their tech champion, there are just certain things that have to be done, like just a reminder to make sure that you're changing your school greeting for the summer, and then back again with the new phone assignments for the schools. That's just important. It seems like a housekeeping thing, but it is important to the public. And I think we have a piece of that greeting, so we have an SOP on the portal on how to do that. So just a reminder to do that. And also one thing that comes up with principal concerns as we start a new school year is getting those teachers in the classroom. And, as they come through the hiring process, those new teachers, some of them they don't get their account and their email until they're actually hired and approved through HR. And so everything we do in our automation, whether it's getting them into the right distribution group or getting their account set up so they can have email, it really we run those programs twice a day, but until HR says they are a hire and we can do it, our hands are tied. What we found as we dive into issues of if somebody's been here and they don't have their account is that it's really in HR that they're not officially hired, and when we drill into that, it's usually that the applicant hasn't done something that HR is waiting for. And so we would just ask the principal, as if you come to the place where you have somebody hired and you're trying to get them in the classroom and you think they need email, because communication is a critical part for that principal within that school, I would start with HR to see if the applicant has done everything they need to do, and then ask the HR analyst is there anything in the system that's preventing them from being officially hired so that the automation can kick in.
So much of the work that is done through operational services and IT is process-oriented.
Correct.
And what you're talking about is following the process, making sure that applicants follow the process, that principals, APs, if you have a part in that process, make sure you complete your part of the process such that it flows smoothly. And if that happens, then the automation takes care of creating those accounts, and it really should be seamless and actually very fast action on that. Let's talk quickly about the responsibility that schools have for getting rid of older equipment, because obviously when new equipment comes in, we have to get rid of the old equipment. What does that look like? What kind of contract do we have with a vendor to come in and take care of those situations, and what kind of successes have we had with that over the past year or so?
So last year we went to a new e-cycler. It's really run by finance in the warehouse department, but they work hand in hand with us. So when a school they have put Gaylords in the schools for e-cycling. And so what happens is the tech champion will still fill out a form, the BDO4 form, with all the technology, IT, and they put that into a help desk ticket. IT will look at that to make sure that the school isn't accidentally e-cycling something that another school could use, if it still has life, if it still has warranty, because that does happen sometimes. And so we will either repurpose it or actually push it through their e-cycling and work with the warehouse on getting that picked up.
Outstanding, outstanding. Elaine, anything else for our viewers to start the school year that might be important?
Just to know that we do have an awesome team. and everyone wants to do a good job. And so if there ever gets to be a perception that IT is not doing something, I would like to know about it personally. I have a great team of managers within their respective areas that wants everything to run smoothly and for the principals to get what they need to run a successful school year. So I would just, know that I'm here for an escalation as well as my managers, but also that we feel really good about our process. And so trust our process, that it work, and trust our people, because we do have good people.
It's all about customer service for us, and I appreciate your commitment to that. I also want to thank the viewers for tuning in to this segment on our information technology. We hope you have a great school year, and at this point, we will close the video. Thank you so much.